Detectives, welcome to Antares, the most high-tech investigation agency in the world. While working for Antares, you will be under the jurisdiction of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, so you'll... Hold that thought. It's break time. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, we were playing Detective, a modern crime board game, on this episode of Table for One. Hi everyone, my name is Paula Deming, and today we will be investigating crime in Detective, a modern crime board game designed by Ignacy Cevicek and published by Portal Games, who helped sponsor this episode. We'll of course be playing solo today, but the game is cooperative for up to 5 players. Now, if you don't know how to play, you can pause the video right now and go watch Rodney's How to Play video linked in the description below. But I'll also be explaining what I'm doing as I play the game to help you follow along. Detective comes with 5 cases that create one campaign story, but today we'll be playing the standalone case Suburbia, so nothing in the main game will be spoiled in this video. So let's take a look at our casebook and discover what crime we'll be investigating today. Wish me luck. Okay, so here we are set up for the game. We have our board here that gives us our locations that we can visit while we're investigating the case. We have our day marker, so we know how long we've been investigating for. And we have our time tracker. Now, our setup for this case told us that we should put our time tracker, we're starting on 9 a.m. So we have our extra tokens over on the side here. This will mark when I've used my investigator special ability. More on that in a moment. We have our stress tokens. I can only take up to 3 stress in this case before I lose. I also have some wild tokens here in case I need them. We'll talk about our skill tokens in a moment. We've got some authority tokens. Our setup told us that we should have 3 for this case. And then we have these tokens that just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't really have them in numerical order here, but these we can kind of use for whatever we want. Now let's come back to these stress tokens. Stress is something that we will get over the course of the case if we go into overtime. Overtime happens if we hit 5 p.m. and in our investigation in one single day, we'll go into overtime. That will give us a stress token. Again, if we've hit 3 of those stress tokens, we lose. So we have to be really careful about the number of hours we're working while investigating this case. According to our setup, we've also been given 3 full days to investigate. So when we get to day 3, 4 p.m., unless we go into overtime, that's it. We are done investigating, and we're going to have to submit our report on what we think happened in this case. So this is our deck of investigation cards. Now this isn't something you're meant to shuffle. They each have a number at the top. You can see here that says 601, for example, and they're all in order. And different things in the case are going to tell us to pull out specific cards from this deck. They're going to give us leads to follow, people to interview, and more information about the case while we're investigating. Now, as we resolve these cards, we're going to place them at different places around our board just to help us keep track of them, which I'll talk about when we place them where they go. We also have here our investigators and consultants. Now, if you have more than one person playing a game, you each choose your own investigator, and then whatever's left over becomes a consultant who can help you out during the case. Because we're playing Table for One, I have 1 investigator and 4 consultants. If you're playing with all 5 players, you would each be an investigator and you wouldn't have any consultants. I'm choosing to play Julia Jacobson, a former investigative journalist. Now, she doesn't come with any special ability tokens, but all of our consultants do come with tokens. Now, Julia's special power is that I can spend 1 authority token from the token pool to change 1 skill token of any type from this pool here into a wild, which could come in really handy. This is something I can do once a day. And if I've done it in a day, I then will place this X token on her board to remind myself that I've done her special power for the day. So we'll be able to earn these authority tokens in a variety of ways throughout the game. One way is we can spend an hour during our day filing a report to gain an authority token, but we might also gain them through various things as we go through our investigation. Now, these are going to be really good things to have because sometimes leads that we want to follow might require us to discard an authority token. And if we don't have any of them, we won't be able to follow up on that lead. Now, we start our day each day at police headquarters, which makes sense. So that's why we have our little car there. And as we travel around, we'll be moving our car to different locations. And when we go to those locations, that's going to take a certain amount of time to travel. Everything we do in the game costs a certain amount of time, and we don't know how long it's going to take until we decide to investigate that route and pull out the card and see what it tells us. And that's how we know how many hours to move our little marker here along our time track. All right. Let me introduce our case to you. Headquarters of Antares, Ohio branch, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, 8 a.m. One of the walls of the spacious conference room is taken up by a big screen. It displays images from a similar room located nearly 500 miles away, creating the impression of looking into a huge mirror. At the end of the table, you can see the figure of a grizzled and wrinkled man sitting in a wheelchair. He has been discussing current affairs with the heads of individual departments for 15 minutes until at last, he turns to you. Finally, I welcome the branch in Cleveland, which has recently started to represent the agency's interests in the Midwest. I won't take any more of your time. I give the floor to Director Rowland, he adds with a smile. Thank you, Director Delaware, says a beaming Olivia Rowland, your immediate supervisor. So we gotta do what she says. Yesterday evening, the local police station received a call reporting the death of a young woman. The person reporting the finding, John Smitty, claimed that he had found the woman's body in the house on 602 Dawnview Street. The door was wide open, so he looked inside and then called 911. Our colleagues from the police went to the scene and confirmed what the witness reported. They secured the area, and the forensic scientists have been working there since this morning. According to the preliminary investigation, the victim was shot with a gun. It also came to our attention that a couple years back, this address was linked to another case, a fire that caused the death of a married couple and the sudden disappearance of their daughter. The case was highly publicized for a while, but then suddenly all grew quiet and died out. That's why Antares was asked to help with this case. Maybe the murder is somehow linked to the fire and the disappearance of the girl. Investigating team, please deliver a report in 2 days. 2 days? Okay, so we need to investigate this death apparently caused by gunshot in a house that was linked to a fire a few years ago. Also, does anyone feel suspicious of the person who found the body, right? Who was like, I went in, I found a body, oh no, I called the police. I'd like to hear the 911 call. Goal of the case: find out who murdered the woman. Discover the motive. Okay, so we need identity of the murderer and why they did it. That's pretty reasonable things that we need to discover as investigators. Now, in the game, we have these further leads. So this is some direction of how we can begin to investigate our case. So first, we could interrogate John Smitty, the person who found the body. We could also look at the crime scene. We could do an autopsy report of the murder victim, which also makes some sense, at least based on all the police procedural TV shows I've watched. And we can also look at the forensic science report from the crime scene. Ooh boy, so what should we start with? Now we can look at any of these leads, but we might pick one and find that that takes us down a whole other path, and maybe we never get to all the rest of the leads that this has here for us to start off with. I think I want to look at an autopsy of the murder victim because maybe that will guide us in how we question John Smitty, and I think that'll be the second thing that we do. So first, let's do this autopsy of the murder victim, which according to our information here is card number 603, but it will require us to go to the courthouse. Okay, so first we're going to find card 603. We'll put it here in our unresolved cards area. Okay, so we need to travel to the courthouse, and according to this card, it's gonna cost us 2 hours to do this. So we're gonna move our car over here to the courthouse so we know where we are, and we're gonna move our time tracker from 9 a.m. up to 11 a.m. because this is gonna take us 2 whole hours to do. The day is gonna go by fast. Also, who stops work at 4 o'clock? Not me. Geez, these are not freelancers, obviously. Here's what we have on our card now. The coroner's report is to be transferred to the police and the Antares agency in a few hours. But if you put some effort into it, you might get it earlier. At least the preliminary version. All you need to do is try. You reach the courthouse, go through the gate, and after a short conversation with the guards, go downstairs to the basement where Dr. Pine, an Antares consultant, has his office. You enter the cold, steel gray space. Pine has just finished printing the first version of the report. He hands you the file, but the expression on his face says there's nothing interesting there. Well, that's not good news. More will be known after further tests, but that takes time. You sit on the chair and open the document. Now that maybe wasn't the best idea to start with then, because they're like, yeah, it's pretty normal. This was a waste of 2 hours, so maybe not the best choice we've ever made. Now look, this here says read file at 6:03. So now we are going to go to the Antares database, which when you play this game, you can do by accessing it through your browser. You go to antaresdatabase.com, you sign in, create an account, and that's how you can access this information for the game. Okay, so I'm going to antaresdatabase.com. on my computer over here, and we're going to put in file at 6:03. So to do that, I have my computer off to the side here. We have our little at there. So then I'm just going to go 6:03, search. All right, let's see. Ooh, here we go. Picture of the dead body. Oh no. Preliminary report from the autopsy. The victim is a white female, aged 25 to 30. Young, of slight body build, height 5'5", hair natural red dyed dark blonde, eyes blue. The cause of death is an injury of the cardiac muscle as a result of the gunshot. The shot was made at close range, leaving clear traces of gunpowder on the victim's body and clothes. Death was instant. There are multiple signs of struggle, scratches and torn hair on the body, skin traces found beneath the fingernails of the victim. Well, can we DNA test that? The time of death was February 12th between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. So that's a pretty narrow window. So 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. is when she was shot. We do have a victim's fingerprints here. So we can add this. So now we have Susan Novak's fingerprint. So that must be her name. We have a database entry for her. So let's just take a look at that. Oh, she has a criminal record. Arrested for possession of drugs. Arrest file available at the courthouse. Well, we're there, so that might be worth looking at. Further leads. Okay, so we could look at number 621 while we're here at the courthouse and see what she was arrested for before, which might be worth doing while we're here. So we need to remember that. So I'm going to say Susan Novak, victim. Number 621 is her criminal record. So there's a note for us to remember. Ooh, we're good detectives. Taking notes, writing things down. Oh yeah. Ooh, we also have here evidence from the victim's fingernail. So let's take a look at that. I'm gonna say add to match, and let's see if there's anyone associated with that evidence already in the criminal system as well. Okay, so unknown DNA. So they don't match anyone already in the system. But maybe that means we can gather DNA from anyone who seems kind of suspicious and see if it matches this. So we'll have to come back to this. Okay, so that's our first venture into the Antares database. Now, we have some further investigating we could do here. We could spend a magnifying glass token to further discuss the report with Dr. Pine. I don't know that we really need to do that, and I kind of want to hang on to my magnifying glass, so I don't think we're going to do a further lead, but we will remember that. Now, the further lead I do want to do is the one for her past criminal record, so we're going to look that up again. Because we're already at the courthouse, we're going to pull up number 621, as I wrote down here, to see Susan's past criminal record. So this is now resolved. We can't go back and do this. So now we're going to put it in our resolved cards, don't go into the further lead section. Here's the thing I've just caught. We should have spent an hour to travel from our headquarters to the courthouse, which you can see here, spend 1 hour to move the IT marker to a different location. So it's actually noon because it took us an hour to travel and then 2 hours to talk to Dr. Pine about the autopsy report. And now we've pulled out number 621. It's going to take us an additional hour to look at Susan's past criminal record. The day is almost done. I don't know how these police get anything done. Okay. Standard procedure. Car park, gates, and a labyrinth of corridors until you finally reach the door to the archives. You submit the relevant requests at the desk, and after a couple of minutes, more like 40 minutes, you get all the documents you need. So now we're gonna look at file 621 back in our Antares database. Okay, so we come here, file 621, search. Well, what do we have here? John Smitty's and Susan Novak's arrest report. John, I can't wait to interrogate him. On May 4th, 2011, John Smitty was caught using illegal substances in a pub near Regent Street. John Smitty was arrested and released after 24 hours. It was his first major offense, so he was fined and sentenced to 40 hours of community service. He was accompanied by his girlfriend, Susan Novak. The girl had no previous police record. She was released with a warning. So I know something I want to ask John Smitty about when we talk to him. All right, so we are going to add his fingerprints to our system here. So I clicked Add Match. So we now have his. I'm going to now click on him in our database. There's John Smitty. So we have his arrest file. We don't know though yet. We don't have any DNA from him, so we don't know if that's what's under her fingernails. But y'all, it's not looking good for John Smitty. He self-reported. Okay, so there's no option to dig deeper on this lead. So we're gonna put it in our resolved cards area right over here in the we didn't dig deeper area. And then we're gonna go talk to John Smitty. So if we look back in our leads from the beginning of the case, that's interrogation of John Smitty, which is field work, so we'll need to travel an hour to go find him, and then we can pull out card number 601. It's already 2 o'clock. Okay, so we spent our hour to find John Smitty, and now we're gonna find his card in here, number 601, the very first. Oh boy, this is gonna take us to the end of our day because that's 2 hours of time. We might have to go into OT today. Okay, let's see what we have to say here. The weather in Cleveland hasn't been particularly kind to us this year. The nasty, cold February forecast keeps the whole city in shackles of darkness. You cover the distance between the parking lot and the cafe at a fast pace and go inside. You are welcomed by the pleasant warmth and smell of freshly ground coffee. You sit at a table near the window, order a black coffee, and go through your phone while waiting patiently for Smitty. I guess we're interviewing him at a cafe, like in a public place. A couple of minutes pass, then the door opens, letting in the cold February air. A young man wearing a Batman sweater looks around with a somber face. A moment later, he moves toward you. He hesitantly slides the chair out, sits down, and mutters a faint, "Morning." You get straight to the point. "Why'd you go to the house?" He looks out the window, says nothing. "Why'd you go to the house?" You persist. "What were you looking for?" "Did you kill her?" Wow, right in the middle of the coffee shop. We don't play around. "No, it's not like that," he finally says. "I'm not a murderer." Then what happened there? Okay, so now we can read questioning 601. Depending on what he says, we might want to dig deeper. You can tell that we have that option again because of this arrow. It'll cost us one of these chat bubble tokens. But first, let's see what he has to say. Questioning 601 to the database. Okay, so we go to questioning 601 here in the database. We hit search. The interrogation of John Smitty. You look at John expectantly. Okay, you can sometimes get some stuff in this place. MSL. So MSL, that means he's medium stress level. The higher the stress level we're able to detect during an interrogation like this means the more useful it might be to dig deeper if we get the option. LSL is low stress level, MSL medium, and HSL is high stress level. So he's medium stressed. I was there to see who was around. HSL, high stress? Then I found a dead girl there. A dead girl? We know you know her. What exactly did you find? She was lying on the floor in a pool of blood, twisted in a strange way. Oh, low stress level here. Maybe because it's honest. There were overturned furniture around her. You could see there had been an altercation. I took off real fast. Later, it dawned on me that someone might have seen me. Besides, my fingerprints are there. So I turned myself in to anticipate any questions a witness and not a murderer. How'd you get inside, John? Normally I'd go through the back doors. They haven't been locked for years. Oh, that's low stress. Okay, so that must be true. Do you know the victim, John? I love asking a question we know the answer to. John looks at his hands for a while. A trace of sadness crosses his face. You'll check it anyway. Yes, I knew Susan. When she moved in, we went out for a while. She was interrogated when I got busted for possession, but she was clean. She seemed like a good girl, but later she broke up with me when she started becoming interested in Richards, the basketball player. I didn't keep in touch with her after that. And now she's dead. Do we believe him? I don't know. Could someone have been there before you? Well, you could meet various people there. As I said, sometimes you could get some there. He means drugs. Okay, Tom Richards is a further lead we can look at. We already have the arrest report, so we don't need to spend time looking at the arrest report. But I think we should pull up this Tom Richards. Anytime you're in the database, it doesn't cost you any additional time to look at anything you find in the database, so that's good. Tom Richards. Ooh, he has identifying marks, a small scar on his forehead and a tattoo on his forearm. Let's write this down. Richards. B-ball. Scar. Forehead. Tattoo. Right forearm. Notes. Former NBA player interrogated as a witness with regard to the fire at the house. Interesting. Known connections is his wife, Melissa Richards. Okay, we have further leads on him. Files on the fire at the house and an interrogation. We can interrogate him as well. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know if the fire is a red herring or something we should actually investigate. But we can dig deeper in this interrogation with Smitty, which I think might be worth doing. So before we investigate these leads, I think we dig deeper here. I'm going to note down, though, that we can look into number 614 is the fire with Richards, and number 608 is interrogation. So I'm just making that note there. We're going to click on his wife's name, though. Melissa Richards. She has some tattoos. Tattoo on her lower back, a tattoo on her left arm. She was also interrogated as a witness to the fire, probably because they must live nearby, right? That must be the case. Okay, so these are further leads of her interrogations. So let's just write this down as well. Those things might be worth looking into. But first, we're going to spend a token to dig deeper with Smitty here. Okay, so we spin this token. Stick it over there. Let's flip this card over. Okay, Johnny, it's clear you're not telling me the truth. You knew exactly who you were going to meet there. Your dealer, right? John fidgets in his chair. Then he explained slowly. I sometimes met various people there. They're usually all right if you're not up to something. Sometimes I took some stuff from them, but it wasn't a big deal. I mean, only for private use, for recreation. Oh, I think he's honest about that because that's low stress. But I'd rather they didn't know I'm talking about it because, you can't trust them with everything. Okay, we can agree that your name won't come up in any way if you give us some contact information about these guys. Oh, I think I'm going to regret this, but I'm here to cooperate with you, right? You smile crookedly. Smitty's a young guy, and he clearly doesn't know he's in for more serious problems. They were from Johansson. Steve Johansson, right? He's known to the police. Yeah, they usually walk around the neighborhood and deal with people who've got the dough and, don't cause problems. Okay. Thanks, Johnny. We'll be in touch. Don't leave town and, keep a low profile. Who knows where Johansson has his moles? You're satisfied to see that Smitty turns pale and gulps. Ooh, okay, so we can check on Steve Johansson. We have so many further leads. We can also bring him in for an interrogation. Let's just look at Steve Johansson's files for now. Okay, so we want Steve Johansson with 2 N's. Look at this cool cat. He has a long scar on his right thigh as an identifying mark. Ooh, we've got some info on him, so we'll add to match. I don't think, though, he probably is not the person who had left the DNA under her fingernails, because that would have matched to him already, because we already have his information on file. Looks like he's been arrested for possession of drugs, manufacturing of drugs. He's been in prison. Okay, let's add to match. Okay, so we have his fingerprints in our database now. Ooh, I don't know. I kind of want to talk to these basketball people. Let's talk to the basketball people, and then we'll figure out if it's worth going here. So let's do our further leads with the basketball people. So I think we should talk to Melissa Richards first, right? I don't know. There's something about that, like, I don't know, maybe she's jealous or something. It just seems like, let's talk to the wife before we talk to the husband. So we're going to talk to her. Oh my gosh, we get a stress for each hour of overtime we go into. We're going to have to do this tomorrow. I think let's wait. We'll go into day 2 and we'll do this tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Okay, this might change what we do. Okay, so that's going to be the end of the day, because I think interrogating people is going to take like all of our stress tokens. So we will end the day and we will interrogate the Richards day 2. This is going to go so fast. Okay, so we're in day 2. We go to the headquarters to start our new day. Our timer goes back to 8 a.m. Okay, day 2, we're at headquarters. Now, we can interrogate Steve Johansson at headquarters. Okay, I've changed my mind. We're at headquarters. Let's not spend an hour traveling yet. Let's talk to Steve Johansson, and then we can go and interrogate the Richards, because I have a feeling we're going to need to go out into their neighborhood to talk to them, and I don't want to travel away from headquarters and then back to headquarters. So let's do 612 first. Steve Johansson interrogation. Slide that over there, put our interrogation here. This is going to take us 2 hours to do. Boop, boop, so we're at 10 a.m. The police took a while to detain the guy, but luckily he's no mafia boss, just an ordinary street dealer. All you had to do was ask around among the informants, and he was quickly found near one of the high schools. He sounds like scum of the earth. He was smart enough not to have anything on him, and now he's sitting in the interrogation room, looking blankly into a one-way mirror, having heard all of the automatic warnings moments before. You start the interrogation right away. All right, now we flip this because it says dig deeper, but it's not telling us we have to spin any tokens to do it. So we just flip it over. Mr. Johansson, I hear that you and your friends can be seen in the area of Dawnview Street dealing drugs. Do you know anything about that? As I say to the police every time, we're simply health conscious. And the air in that part of town is great, like nowhere in Cleveland. The nosy neighbors probably don't like the fact we wander around the area. That spiked his stress. Everything else has been low stress until he said that, medium stress. They're always watching anyone who simply passes by. Sure. Were you in the house at 602 Dawnview Street on February 12th? No. Do you know anyone who could have been there? I don't know, maybe some kids from the neighborhood took a peek. Do you know anything about the murder of Susan Novak? This is the first I've heard about a murder, but he's still low stress. Listen, guys, you don't in your own backyard, for fuck's sake. I like that neighborhood, and I wouldn't be here if I had done any of the things you suspect me of. Can I get back to my business now? Medium stress level. Without any grounds for an arrest, Steve Johansson is released, though you know it wouldn't be too hard to track him down again. I'm not sure how helpful that was, but I do think it's good to know that the neighbors are kind of nosy, which means it might be worth talking to the neighbors and seeing if they saw anything. Okay, so this goes into our resolved cards that we have dug deeper on, which means that we can look at them again. So I'm going to put them over here. And then I think this, we also dug deeper on, so we'll just put that over there as well. Now, I want to talk to the Richards. So we're going to do 616. We're going to interrogate Melissa Richards. That's what we're going to do next. Alrighty. It's going to take us an hour to do it, and it's field work, so we have to spend an hour traveling. So we'll move here. So it's noon now. Oh my gosh. Do all investigators feel like this? Like the day is just getting away from them constantly. All right, let's see what Melissa Richards has to say. The house at 616 Donview Street is large, tidy, and makes a very good impression. When you walk up to the door, you hear a dog barking. Arf, arf, arf. Or maybe a dog like this. So weird. You knock. The door is opened by a middle-aged woman wearing a sporty outfit. Next to her, a small dog bares its teeth, so it was more like this. That was the small dog. You explain that you're here to ask her a couple of questions related to the murder in the house next door. According to the information we received, you were not at home at the time of the murder. You start the conversation while looking at the report you got from the police. After my husband left for work at the arena, I went for a run. I was back after 9. So you didn't hear the shots? No. You didn't notice anything suspicious in the morning? No, it was just like any other day. Do you run alone? Did anyone see you to confirm that? Well, I run over there behind the house. She points to the back. We have a lot of space there, just fields, wildlife, mud and snow. Come and see for yourself, she says, going to the window and moving the net curtain. Actually, on that day, I met Betty Boone from 609. She can confirm this. Does this mean that I'm a suspect? You don't have to worry. We're just checking all the residents. Thank you for your cooperation. If you remember anything else, please contact me, you say as you hand her your business card. Oh my goodness, I can ask if they have a gun in the house. We don't have any authority tokens yet. We might have to file a report so I can get an authority token to spend to get a wild. Because I'm going to spend our last little chat bubble token to ask her about a gun in the house. Because that feels, I don't know, it just feels right. I don't know why I'm like, ooh, Susan used to date a basketball player and now he's married and maybe she's jealous. Like maybe I watched too many soap operas. But I'm going to spin this and we're going to flip this card over and dig deeper. Standing at the threshold and trying not to step on the dog who keeps getting under your feet. Stop, get away. You ask one more question. Do you have a gun? I don't. What an odd idea. My husband does though. Do you remember what model? A Sig Sauer P938. My husband brags about it all the time. Interesting. So you can see here, see this little symbol? This means that we could look this up on the internet, which I think we should do. So I'm just gonna look up what this gun looks like just for kicks. Okay, so these are apparently Sig Sauer P938. Let's go to Wikipedia. So it's pretty cool, a game that's like, yeah, use the internet. You would in real life if you were investigating. Flush Fit magazine holds 6 rounds, while 7-round magazines with an extension are available. Safety is ambidextrous, while the magazine release is only on the left side. I don't know if any of that information will mean anything later, but now we know it. So there's that. All right, so we will put this card over here in our resolved dig deeper cards that we can look at later. I think maybe we talk to the husband now. We talk to Mr. Richards. And maybe we'll be able to ask him about the gun. What would be great though is to know if that gun was used, like, can we get a ballistics report on the gun? Maybe that would be under forensic science report from the crime scene. We could travel to the lab. I also would like to spend an hour writing a report because I want to get an authority token. Okay, so I'm going to spend 1 hour. It's already 1 o'clock. Where does the day go? I'm going to write a report, and that's going to get me an authority token, which I can then use with Julia's power if we want to trade in any one of these tokens if we need it for a wild, which could come in handy potentially. Now, let's talk to John Smitty. So that was number 608. I'm glad I took notes. So let's pull that up and see what that has to say. Okay, so we need to interrogate Tom Richards, and it seems like he is at headquarters. So I wasted time going out into the field to talk about Melissa, because now I have to drive back to headquarters to talk to Tom. But whatever, we can't go back now. We cannot turn back time. So we will travel for an hour back to headquarters, and then we're going to spend an hour to talk to Tom Richards. It's already almost the end of the day, and we only have 1 day left. We're going to have to go into overtime for sure, because we do not know anything. Tom Richards arrives at the meeting right on time. He's wearing a tracksuit with the Cleveland Cavaliers logo. You show him a seat in the conference room and start the system. You've testified that on February 12th, between 8 and 9 a.m., you were on your way to work. You got to the Quicken Loans Arena just before 9. Is that correct? This is another thing we can look up on the internet if we want. I arrived later because I got stuck in traffic. I was at the arena around 9:30. Medium stress level, and also available during the window of the murder. Do you know Susan Novak? Yeah, she's the daughter of our neighbors. I mean, former neighbors before they died in the accident. Did they die in the fire? Did you see her contact Susan Novak since her disappearance? No. Why would I contact her? High stress level. Y'all, he is suspicious. We're just asking. You don't need to get upset. How can I not be upset? This shark, Kathla, is waiting for some scandal to pop up so she can feed on me. The journalist? Mary Kathla? Don't worry. So far, we're not going to disclose anything to the press. You paused for a second. Dig deeper and it won't cost us anything. He is being so suspicious. Do you have a gun? Yes. What kind of gun? A normal gun. I mean a pistol. I don't know exactly. I don't use it. My coach told me to buy one, just in case. This was years ago. Now, this is interesting. This is low stress when he's saying this. His wife definitely knew the type of gun and said he was always bragging about it. But his low stress right now makes me think he's telling the truth, which he's like, I don't know, a normal gun? Did you notice anything disturbing when you left for work on February 12th? Anything strange? No, nothing. Medium stress level. What is up with this guy? Richards is sweating bullets. You haven't had such a stressed out witness at Terrace in a long time. Can he not deal with the pressure? Or is he hiding something? Further leads. We could spend 3 authority tokens. I don't have 3 authority tokens. To examine Tom Richards' gun? We don't have 3 authority tokens. So I certainly cannot look at the gun, but I would like to. Okay, well, we can't do that. Check the journalist. Well, we should check the journalist because it's a free thing to do. So, name Mary Kathla. Want to look at that gun, y'all? I only have 1 authority token, though. Let's see what the database tells us. Oh, we've got some material type evidence on her. Fingerprints. Arrested for trespassing on private property, arrested for stalking, restraining order preventing communication with Tom Richards. Court order was filed by Melissa Richards on Tom Richards' behalf. She's a known sports journalist. She wrote a biography about Tom. It sounds like she is like almost like a paparazzi style, you know, like she's got restraining orders. She's trespassing on private property to like get her story. Okay, maybe we spin, we go into overtime, we talk to Mary, and tomorrow first thing we do is go to the lab. We are running out of time. I don't know if we're gonna solve this case. There are so many cards we haven't looked at. We're bad investigators. Okay, so this goes over here because we dug deeper. I'm gonna put that there. All right, now we need to do field work. So we're gonna spend an hour to go into the field, and then we're gonna pull up card 618 to talk to Mary. And I hope she's got some dirt for us because I feel like we've got a lot of circumstantial evidence and like suspicions. I don't even know if I could say we have that. We don't have a lot to go on here. Oh no, this is 2 hours of field. This is 2 hours. That's 2 of our stress tokens we have to spend because we need to go into 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock to do this. We only have 1 stress token left and we end the game. Not amazing. Mary Kathla agreed to meet you in one of the cafes downtown. You reach the location, the journalist is already there, sitting with a coffee and working on her laptop. When you walk up, she smiles and closes the computer screen. Her long gray hair is tied in a ponytail. She's dressed in a sporty outfit. Everybody dressed in sporty outfits. How may I help you? She asks. It's about Tom Richards' case. His neighbors had a fire in June 2015. Do you remember? Yes, his neighbors died during the game. A sad story. Ooh, they must have died during a basketball game he was playing? What can you tell me about Tom that I can't read from the police files or from his testimonies? Well, he's a very interesting man. As with any young basketball player, he had a glamorous life. He enjoyed the high society and was associated with the mayor and the city's wealthy businessmen. He frequently surrounded himself with beautiful women, partying all day long, even though he had a wife. After the Cavaliers lost the finals, he changed. After the events of that day, he settled down and he no longer seemed to enjoy the same glamour. He still went to parties, but in a quieter way. And he always came with his wife. It sounds like she found out maybe he was having affairs. And what kind of man is he today? Well, he's the assistant coach of the junior team. He settled down. He's much less present in the media. Now is the time for his wife, Melissa. She's been the one in the spotlight ever since Tom's career ended. Did anything from that period catch your attention? Anything that seemed weird? So I guess Tom doesn't play for the team anymore, but he coaches the junior team. Okay, it's all piecing together. Only how much the loss shook him. I remember he didn't come out when the team thanked the fans after the game. A couple days later, he told me in the interview that he was stuck in the VIP room and couldn't get out onto the field. No one saw him that day. He was so devastated. Well, this is going to let us check the alibi of Tom Richards, which we should definitely do, but I think we have to do that tomorrow first thing. We'll be at headquarters, so we'll start there, and then maybe we go to the lab, and if we have time, I kind of want to talk to neighbors if we can. There's something about him being stuck. But I think that has to do with the fire, which we haven't actually even really looked into at all. That's the end of day 2. Oh boy. Started day 3. All right, y'all, this is our last day. I feel like we have a lot of loose ends that we don't know the answers to. But we're at headquarters, and so the first thing we're going to do is to check Tom's alibi here. It says number 610 at headquarters. We're going to check his alibi. We're going to do that first, and then we're going to go to the lab. I want to go to see the forensic science report from the crime scene. We should probably also go to the crime scene. Okay, headquarters. Okay, so this is going to take an hour. Oh, we didn't reset our clock, so back to 8 a.m. 9 a.m., headquarters. You sit in front of the computer and wonder how to find proof that Tom Richards was at the game on June 16th, 2015. That must be when the fire was. Cameras at the arena are the first clue, but after a short phone call to Quicken Loans Arena, it turns out they don't have records from 2 years back. The man suggests checking with the company handling the tickets. In the meantime, you connect the main computer to the game coverage shown on ABC to look for Richards in any of the frames. The second computer goes through all the photos on Twitter from that day. Maybe a fan caught Richards in a photograph. You call Magnetic Security Solutions and, without much hope, ask for the database of cards from 2015. The lady doesn't know. She puts you through to somebody else. He doesn't know either, but puts you through to somebody else. Judging by the voice with every subsequent connection, it seems that you are talking to younger and younger employees. When you hear what sounds like a high school kid pick up the receiver, you decide to hang up. Dig deeper. Well, I can dig it out, you hear just before you click the button. Really? We've got everything on the server. What exactly are you looking for? We're checking whether Tom Richards was at the Quicken Loans Arena on June 16th, 2015. Okay, I can do that, says the voice in the receiver. You hear tapping on the keyboard, and after a couple minutes, you get your answer. I have his record in the database. This Richards guy, he was a Cleveland Cavaliers player. Every player on the team has a card issued for the event. His card had never been activated, so officially, he was not at the stadium that day. The Antera system also did not find him in any picture or frame. Discard the number 608 card from the deck. It is no longer available. We can also interrogate him again. That's interesting. Okay, so 608. Oh, we've already talked to him. So we've already talked about 608. So we don't have to worry about that. Which card was that? That was our initial interrogation of Tom. Oh. So we can interrogate him again, which is probably worth doing. I want to look into the fire. Okay, I want to find that further lead that talked about the fire because I think we need some information on that for ourselves. So I'm going to go back and find what that was. Okay, so files on the fire at the house at 602 Dawnview Street is a number 614 at the police station. So we'll have to travel there, but I think that's worth doing. We need to know what's going on with this. So, okay, so the first thing I would do, just for the sake of time, we're going to interrogate Tom Richards a second time at this headquarters, and depending on what we find out from him, we might end up we should go to the... There isn't enough time to do all of it. We're going to talk to Tom Richards first. I need the time. Okay, so first we're going to talk to Tom Richards because we won't have to travel to talk to him. So we're going to pull out 613, and then we may go to the police department here to follow up the lead on the fire for more information, just so we know. But I want to go to the lab. There's not enough time to do all these things. Okay, so this is going to cost us 1 hour. 10 a.m. Tom Richards comes to the Antares headquarters, pale as a ghost. The screen on the wall is flashing images. One screen displays rotating images from the crime scene. The other one shows photos from the accident, the fire, and yet another one shows photos of the 2015 NBA Finals. You begin the interrogation. Hey, Tom. So you testify that on June 16th, 2015, you were at the game in which your team played.
Yeah.
We checked the electronic ticket records. There's no record of your presence at the stadium. We're not able to confirm your alibi. Could you tell us where you were June 16th, 2015?
I was there.
I left the card at home. They obviously let me in because everyone at the stadium knows me. What does it matter? There's no record of my card being checked in. High stress level. In June 2015, you forgot your card at the same time that there was a fire that killed Mr. and Mrs. Novak. And now you were late for work because of traffic at the same time that their daughter, Susan Novak, was killed.
I knew Susan. We were friends.
High stress level?
She wrote to me the day before she died. She wanted to meet.
Did anyone apart from you know about that?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Well, my wife sometimes goes through my phone. She's suspicious.
Yeah, I wonder why. Did you kill Susan Novak?
We only had an affair. It was not a big deal. I liked her. I would never hurt her.
Oh, y'all. So was it him or was it his wife? But who set the fire, and does it have anything to do with anything? Okay, so now we're going to travel to the police department because I want to know about this fire. So we're going to spend an hour to travel to the police department. So that's that. And then we are going to go to card number 614. That gets us the fire information. Oh, and we can discard this now because we did the extra interrogation. At this time of year, the entire main hall of the police station is covered with mud and snow, dragged in from outside. A quick visit to the station will get you to the files on the 2015 fire at 602 Donview Street. And it's going to cost us another hour. So we're at noon now. So we're going to go into the database again and read file number 614. Commanding officer for the firefighting operation was Senior Warrant Officer Samuel Cropper. Commanding officer for the case on the death of the house residents was Inspector James Luketown. On June 16, 2015, a fire broke out at 602 Donview Street. The fire was reported at 11 p.m. by Rose Flowers, a neighbor living on the same street. Flowers alleged that she saw the fire through the windows and smoke coming from the house. The firefighters arrived at the scene 4 minutes after the call. The police and ambulance followed. The firefighters entered the house. The doors were unlocked. They saw flames dying in the fireplace and a stack of spare wood smoking in a metal basket nearby. The spare wood catching fire was most likely caused by a spark from the fireplace. The bodies of 2 persons, a woman and a man, were also found in the house. They were found lying naked on the carpet, covered only with a sheet. No other people were found in the house. Were they dead from the fire? Were they having like a romantic night and they got burned up in a fire? No, this says the fire was not a serious one and was extinguished quickly. The firefighters inspected the structure of the house and deemed it secure. During the investigation, the chimney duct was found to be poorly ventilated. Oh no. They carbon monoxide poisoning, it looks like. Fingerprints were lifted at the site. Most of them matched the fingerprints of the residents. Some were unidentified. No signs of forced entry or struggle were found in the house. The police ruled out foul play. Yeah, toxic gases from this report from the autopsy. The autopsy indicated that inhalation of toxic gases as the cause of death. The victims were already dead when the fire broke out. The inhalation of toxic gases was a result of a blocked chimney duct and faulty alarm system. No indications of the use of force were found on the body. The autopsy indicated carbon monoxide poisoning as the direct cause of death. No toxic substances were found in the victim's system, but there were traces of hypertension medication, sildenafil, I don't know, alcohol, and food. And then we took their fingerprints. So the Novak family moved to the suburbs of Cleveland in 2011. Jenny was unemployed and taking care of the house. Bob worked in the insurance industry. Susan studied sociology at the local university. She worked at Bertha's Cafe nearby, which might be where we met John Smitty when we interrogated him. She wasn't home and no one knew where she was. Tom Richards wasn't formally questioned. He says he didn't keep in touch with them but only ran into them occasionally. He is such a liar. Melissa says she confirmed her husband wasn't at home and she was watching the game on TV alone. She did not seem to be thrilled about the finals. She spoke about it with sarcasm, according to the notes. A side note, strange sentence. I wanted to see my husband courtside very much, but I did not see him once. When asked why she did not accompany her husband at the game, she said she found the sport boring. My goodness. So Rose is a neighbor, a book club. Who else? Daryl Stope. Oh, interesting. Rose says she was concerned about Susan Novak. Daryl Stope was with his friends at the local bar. He heard that the Richards also had problems with the fireplace. His wife had seen a maintenance company car in front of their home a couple of weeks earlier. He knew Bob Novak. The two sometimes went to the pub for a beer, but on that night, Bob wanted to stay home. The wife confirmed her husband's words. She confirmed that those fireplaces had some factory flaws from what she had heard, and the whole estate replaced the sensors. This is very interesting. Again, I don't know if this fire is a red herring or not, but I don't know. There's just some suspicious stuff about this maintenance car, and then the fireplace goes wrong, and then they die. And then Susan shows back up again and now she's dead. Like, did he try to kill all of them and it didn't work? But why would he kill them? I don't know why he would kill them. So we've done that. All right, so this will go over here because it has no dig deeper. I think now we go to the lab finally to get that forensic report and see if we can get information about the bullet that killed Susan. And then maybe we go to the crime scene. Hopefully we'll have time. And then we're gonna have to write a report and try and solve this case. Okay, so let's go to the lab. That's going to cost us an hour. We're looking at this lead, number 604. This is going to cost us 2 hours. Oh no. The first batch of items secured at the crime scene has already reached the laboratory. The second forensic science team's visit and any additional requests of the investigators will increase the collection of items to be examined, but right now the most obvious and important items are being thoroughly analyzed. You go to the 6th floor past the workspaces of the forensic scientists and reach the laboratory's office. 6 computer stations welcome you with the blue glow of their screens. You walk up to the first one and select the forensic science report from the menu. You enter the case number, your access code, and soon you have access to the materials. You print the files, but also send them digitally to the Antares server so that every member of the team working on the case has access to them. When leaving with your file, you pass 2 investigators from another Antares team having a heated discussion about the case of a stolen watch. You don't think they even noticed you. You start reading the report in the elevator. So we want file 604. Search. Let's see what we come up with. Traces collected at the crime scene include fingerprints, hair, and elements of tracked soil and mud. Footprints left in the garden have been preserved in plaster casts. Fingerprints were lifted off the suitcase, front door, kitchen surfaces, and a number of other places. Fresh prints, well preserved. We also have fingerprints on the back door, some on an overturned chair. We have some soil samples. We have a bullet casting, caliber 9mm. Interesting. The team didn't find any signs of a forced entry. No traces were found of any tampering with the front door or the back door. Items secured at the crime scene. Keys with a Cleveland Cavaliers 2015 keyring, an RTA Red Line train ticket, a torn off pendant, and a hair clip. I have a theory, but I'm going to wait before I say it out loud. So first, let's just add all of this stuff to match into our system. Okay, so we have the bullet casing. We can't investigate the gun, but I feel like it's 9mm, it feels pretty. Okay, so this is the soil samples. There's no match found in the database, but I wonder if we could get a soil sample from the Richards home. I don't know. So let's add in our fingerprints. These Johns that we just added in. Well, he did go into the house, so that's off the back door, the ones we got. So those probably were Johns. That makes sense. How about these off the overturned chair? They don't seem to match anything. Not found in the database. Interesting. I think they're Melissa Richards' fingerprints. That's what I think. That's what I think. Here are fingerprints lifted off the suitcase, front door, kitchen surfaces, a number of other places. I wonder if these are Susan's. Yeah, those are Susan's. Okay. So that's all of that info. Interesting. Very interesting. So that's that. That cost us 2 hours. We were at the inn. This is tricky because I don't feel like we really have enough information to know what happened. I have some suspicions, but it's all really, I mean, that's all it is suspicions. I have no real hard evidence. Yeah, just like a gut feeling, really. And like the size of the bullet casings found at the scene match the gun that the Richards have, that Tom Richards seemed to be truthful about not really knowing anything about, but Melissa sure did know a lot about that gun. But I don't know if I can go back, and I think let's go to the crime scene. Okay, we're gonna go to the crime scene, which will cost us an hour of travel, and then hope that our time at the crime scene only costs us 1 hour of overtime. Because if we go past 1 additional hour, because we only have 1 stress token left, the game immediately ends. We have to file our report. But we might as well try and see what happens. Okay, we're gonna go to the crime scene and see if we can find anything there to like hit it home for us. So let's spend an hour to travel and hope that our time there costs us less than 2 hours. I'm not hopeful about it though. So this is again from one of our further leads at the start. 6:02. Let's see. And you can't here's the thing about this game is you can't change your mind about what you're doing once you know how many hours it's going to take you. You've committed to it. It's 2 hours. That's an hour into overtime, which is 1 stress token. And that's 1 more and we're out of stress tokens. So we're too stressed out to find out much. What would have been nice, when we flipped the field work, we would have had a chance, now that we've done this, to potentially do more and ask neighbors, which is what I really wanted to do, but I didn't decide I wanted to do it early enough in the day, and we've run out of time. So we're not going to be able to get to that. So now it's at the end of the game. We're out of time. We've got to file our report. That's how this works. That's how the day-to-day job of an investigator works. We're just filing reports. So we're gonna do this on the Antares database. Okay, let's see if we have enough information. I have some wild theories, but I don't know that any of it would hold up in a court of law. Okay, so we're going to go down to this final report button. I feel like my theory is just like a soap opera theory. Oh boy, here we go. We got to answer some questions. What was the motive for Susan Novak's murder? Covering up a secret from the past? Covering up an affair from the past? Jealousy about an affair from the past? Or we don't know. I think it's jealousy. I think Melissa shot her. I don't think that. I know that Tom was late to work, but he just acted like he didn't know anything about that gun. So I think it was jealousy from an affair. I don't know. Next. Who murdered Susan Novak? Well, if that's true, then it's Melissa Richards. What was the cause of death of Mr. and Mrs. Novak? Failure of the ventilation system of the fireplace? Well, that is true. The murderer's tampering with the fireplace ventilation. Food poisoning? I don't think so. Now, here's the thing. Do we think this is an accident or do we think it was on purpose? I think it was the murderer's tampering with the fireplace ventilation. I say if we're going to do soap opera, let's go all out. The murderer tampered with the fireplace ventilation. Where was Susan Novak on the day of her parents' death? I don't know. She was in a room upstairs. She was on a school trip, or she was with Tom Richards. Wait, if she was with Tom Richards, which could be what was happening, why he missed the game, which would be crazy pants, then that means the fireplace could have just been an accident. Ooh, okay, we're going back. I'm changing my mind. Previous. We're gonna just say failure of the ventilation system of the fireplace. I think it was just an accident. But she was with Tom Richards, which is why he was late to his game or not there. And the guilt of that, maybe, is what made him change everything. How many stress tokens do you use? All three. All three, which is gonna give me some negative points. Final score. Ooh, 9 out of 12 points, y'all. That's not bad. We got 2 questions right of the final report, 1 of 2 of the additional questions, but we lost 3 points because of stress. So let's look. Additional questions. Okay, let's see. Final report. Rowland examines your report. This is a lot of work you've done here, and you only started 2 days ago. Thank you for your hard work. Let's go through all the most important questions I wanted you to answer. First, what was the motive behind Susan Novak's murder? You think it was the jealousy about an affair from the past? I mean, that sounds about right. I believe it was an affair that happened in the past. It was a crime of passion or revenge, or rather to prevent that old affair from ever happening again. So the most important question remains, who killed Susan Novak? You believe it was Melissa Richards. That's the most plausible theory. I believe Susan Novak was murdered by Melissa Richards. Melissa was jealous. Her husband cheated on her with the younger girl next door. It is also entirely possible that this led to the death of Bob and Jenny Novak. I believe Susan was the intended target back then, but ironically enough, she was on a date with Tom Richards that night. Oh, we shouldn't have changed. See, I thought Tom maybe killed the parent. I don't know why this would have happened. Why would Tom have killed the parents the first time? So this is saying Melissa did it both times? I almost got it all right, just on wild soap opera guesses. Overall, you did a superb job, detectives. I am proud of you. I will recommend you all for future cases. Of course, this is only the beginning. I will now notify the police. They will arrest our suspect. There will be a trial and, thanks to you, a satisfying sentence. But let's just leave that to the prosecutor, shall we? Oh, that's how Olivia Rowland sounds. Wow, 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 wow. Look, it's so cool. You see all the percentage of things I found compared to what other people find. Let's look at the additional questions. So I did get this wrong. The cause of death of Mr. and Mrs. Novak wasn't just an accident. It was planned, apparently, by Melissa Richards. I should have trusted my gut. I should have trusted my strong investigator gut. Well, we've solved it, detectives. So tell me, did you think I was on the right track there at the end? Or did you think I was just making wild accusations? I think we should all trust my keen investigative sense. Obviously, I should have forget board games. I should have been a detective. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Table for One. If you enjoyed this video, go on and give the video a thumbs up. Maybe leave me a comment to let me know your thoughts on the case. If you're looking for more playthrough content, make sure to check out Monique and Navene's gameplay series right here on this channel, where they go head-to-head in a variety of board games. Also, don't forget to check out Rodney's How to Play video for Detective, a Modern Crime board game. Thanks again to Portal Games for sponsoring this episode, and thank you for watching. If you aren't already subscribed to the channel, go on and hit that button and make sure you turn on notifications so that you know when we have new episodes up for you. And until then, thanks for watching.